to other economies, developed economies, and especially to other economies like Canada, which are resource economies and have obviously suffered from the decline in commodity prices as Australia has. So we're seeing strong growth in jobs. We're seeing, however, signs that we cannot be complacent. There is a tendency, I think, from our opponents in the Labor Party to take our strong economy for granted. They want to assume that the strong economic growth, 3% real growth, is something that will just occur without the economic plan, the leadership that we have provided and are providing. Our strong growth in exports is one that is testament to the importance of our trade export deals. Our commitment to employment and innovation, as we saw this morning at River City Labs, you saw there one business after another that is inspired by and encouraged by our economic plan, by our plan for an innovative economy, for a growing economy that drives jobs right across the board. You saw them investing, innovating, taking risks, bringing people into employment. That doesn't happen by accident. That requires a clear economic plan. It requires strong economic leadership. And that's what we're providing with our economic plan. The Treasurer and I and all our colleagues committed to delivering on that economic plan that will secure our future. And that's what we're seeking on July the 2nd, the mandate of the Australian people to complete our economic plan to deliver on the jobs and growth. Strong signs in the national accounts today. So far, so good. But there is plenty of risk out there on the horizon. We are in an uncertain economic environment globally. Many opportunities, great opportunities, but great challenges. You cannot succeed without a clear economic plan. So everything we have is encouraging companies to invest, to employ. The Labor Party, on the other hand, wants to take economic growth for granted. Just assume that everything will hum along without any intervention from government, and at the same time they seek to raise taxes on investment, which will have the obvious consequence of less investment and fewer jobs. So far so good. This confirms the direction we're leading the country in terms of our economic plan, but there is much more work to do. And we are seeking the support of Australians to complete that work on July the 2nd.
Thank you, Prime Minister. Just to confirm through what is in the national accounts today, confirms the Australian economy is continuing to grow, outstripping the world's most advanced economies, faster the United Kingdom, the United States, the Eurozone. It's more than twice what, as the Prime Minister said, the growth we're seeing in Canada, faster than Singapore, faster than New Zealand, and now even faster than South Korea. The growth is at 1.1% for the quarter and 3.1% through the year growth. It confirms the transition story, the transition that is occurring in our economy that the Prime Minister and I and the team have been speaking about for many, many months now. The transition in our economy is what is working, but it cannot be taken for granted. But these national accounts numbers demonstrate that transition taking place. It also confirms again what was put in the budget in terms of where we see the economy going, and that's an important outcome of today's accounts figures. It also confirms, most importantly, about what we need to do, as the Prime Minister has just said, and rolling out the National Economic Plan for Growth and Jobs in a transitioning economy towards a stronger new economy, a more diversified economy as these figures demonstrate. The key numbers underpinning the result is a 0.7% growth in household consumption and a 3% through the year. While that is still below trend, this is a solid household consumption figure, and it has contributed 0.4% to the overall growth that we've seen of 1.1% in the quarter. Dwelling investment also remains up and has contributed 0.1% to GDP in the quarter. Importantly, this has been in both new dwellings and in alterations to dwellings. And I think this highlights the risk of what Labor is proposing with their housing tax, their negative gearing changes and their increases in capital gains tax. Dwelling investment continues to be a positive. It's a 7% growth through the year. Now that can change, and it can change with the wrong set of policies and a negative shock to the property market, which Moody's referred to as being one of the great risks going forward in the economy if Labor were to proceed with those policies. And net exports have been a strong result for the quarter, a 1.1% contribution to the quarter's growth. And that has happened in two areas, which is, I think this tells the story of the transition. You've got mining, which continues through its production volumes to be continuing to support the strength of the economy. The investment that went into mining is now converting into production volumes, which continues to support growth in our economy. So the transition isn't about the end of mining. In fact, it's about it moving from an investment phase into a production phase, and we see that occurring in the economy. The other side is on services exports. They're up 14%. And services exports and the services industry more generally is contributing some 0.4% to the growth in the economy in this quarter. Productivity is also up and now goes above trend at 1.8%, and that's a welcome development. But there is fragility in these numbers which our economic plan is designed to address, most particularly in the area of investment. The budget, of course, forecast and acknowledged the natural change in mining investment, which you see in the engineering construction figures and other figures in the national accounts today. But equally, the non-mining investment is where we need to ensure that we drive growth in the future. And that's where our entire national economic plan is really trying to do one thing above all else, and that is drive investment, because as the Prime Minister says, and as he knows from his own experience in the corporate world, if you don't have investment, you don't have growth. And if you don't have growth, you don't have jobs. So we acknowledge that the investment figures in the national accounts, and particularly in non-mining investment, are critical to the future growth and us moving through this transition story. That's why you need to do things that boost investment, not tax investment. You can't increase investment if you're going to increase the tax on investment, which is what the Labor Party proposed to do. We also see with wages and compensation of employees the best through the year outcome since 2012, and that is fundamentally a result of the strong jobs growth we have had over that period. Now, that is a positive, and we have seen some modest improvement in wages, but a lot of the growth we've seen in compensation of employees has come through the strong jobs growth. 300,000 last year, more than 50,000 jobs for young people over the last 18 months. That jobs dividend is producing for our national accounts. So while the numbers are welcome, we are very conscious of the fragilities that exist in these numbers, and our economic plan is designed to address those fragilities. The most significant of those is the need to boost earnings. Company profits, as you can see through the gross operating surplus, is a negative, and we need to ensure that we support businesses to earn more. Now, our company tax cuts, the tax cuts for small and medium-sized businesses, because that's what will occur over the next term of Parliament. That's who gets the tax cuts over the next term of Parliament, and particularly those 100,000 businesses who employ 2.2 million Australians who have a turnover of between 2 million and 10 million. They get a tax cut on the 1st of July of this year. They will get access to the depreciation pooling provisions, which enables them to invest more. They get access to the pay-as-you-go concessions with the tax office. They are not multinationals. You won't find a Google CEO amongst any of those businesses. What you will find is mum and dads running businesses. And this is one thing I'll say about small businesses. They pay their creditors first, they pay their employees second, and they pay themselves third. And Bill Shorten thinks they're the problem. He thinks they don't deserve the support to invest more in their businesses. And we do think that they deserve support to invest more in their businesses. So declaring war on business and increasing taxes is not a way to drive jobs and growth based when you look on these national accounts figures. Increasing taxes on investment, increasing taxes on small businesses, increasing, or I'd say decreasing their access to important tax concessions, which I've referred to that we will make sure they get, increasing taxes on investment through the increase in capital gains tax, increasing taxes on the housing and the dwelling industry is not a way to drive jobs and growth. $100 billion of more taxes over the next 10 years is not going to address the fragilities in these numbers, and it won't build on the strength of export agreements and other things that are such a key part of our national economic plan. Thank you, Prime Minister.